How I found out my mother was sexually abusing me in my sleep. When I was about 11 years old, I always slept with my mother and I always slept with nightgowns on. This night, I remember having on a pink Barbie doll nightgown and it was white in the back. I don't know if y'all remember, but back in the 90s, that was a thing, like the way that the nightgowns were. My mother had a waterbed, and I always remember she slept with the TV on. So this night, I was in her bed, laying down. I fell asleep and then I woke up. And when I woke up to my mother butt naked in between my legs. I had my panties were off, I didn't have those. Um, and there was pornography on the TV. I actually remember her fingers. Like, I remember the entire thing. She was bent over. Her behind was in the air. She had no clothes on. She was a little heavy set. You all bear with me. This is really hard for me to share with you all. This is really my first time giving details on exactly what happened. When I woke up, I was looking at the TV. I grabbed my legs, like, grabbed them. And I sat up so quickly, you all, like so fast, because I literally could not believe that she was in between my legs. And I already was being sexually abused by my sister my entire life, and then there were other people who had sexually abused me too. So to see her in between my legs, butt naked, and the way that the bed was set up, there was two sides. She when obviously when I woke up and I gasped for air, you all, like literally like that was my response. I gasped for air and I grabbed my legs and I sat up at the head of the bed. She got off of me or got up. I mean, she had no choice because I grabbed myself. She got up and she started walking around the bed from this side. She started walking around. And as she was walking around, she was like, I was just trying to see if you was having sex. I was just trying to see if you was having sex. And that's all she kept saying. And I was quiet, you all. I looked at her. Sorry. I looked at her and I just was like, it literally was like, at that moment, it felt like the worst day of my life. Um, I couldn't believe that, she would fail me like that. She would hurt me in that way. Out of all the physical abuse that she has caused me, the beatings, I mean, the different objects, lamps, Christmas tree lights, hammers, shoes with heels. Like I literally was lit with lighters on my skin. I was bitten before by her. Like I was like, out of all those things, I would have rather that had happened to me 10 more times than to see my mother in between my legs and taking my innocence in that kind of way. Um, it literally broke my heart. And, you know, I mean, to the point where, after she kept saying that, like, after she kept saying, I was just trying to see if you was having sex. I was just trying to see if you was having sex. I mean, butt naked, y'all. No panties, no bra, no shirt, no socks, no nothing on, butt naked as she's walking. Um, I remember laying down and turning my back towards her and just like keeping my eyes closed and just like, I think I wanted it to be a nightmare. I would have preferred it to not be like real. Like I would have preferred it to be a bad dream. Um, and then it was never spoken about after that. Like I just lay down. I cried when I turned to my side because at this time I'm 11, almost 12. Like I knew what she was doing. Like at that age, I knew exactly what she was doing. And I turned over and I cried. She didn't see me cry. I just was super quiet. And then I went back to sleep and we never talked about it. Um, And then when I was around 25, I finally shared it with someone. And when I tell you guys, I almost lost my mind, literally. Like I couldn't even breathe. Like I sat on the porch. I was 25 years old, just in shock, disbelief. Like I thought I was losing my mind. I thought that was it for me. Because my own mother, the woman that I loved, the woman that I would do anything for, that I would kill for, that I would do anything, could violate me in that way. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Um, I mean, I was raped. I was touched by my sister my entire life, beat on by both my mother and my sister, and still can't believe what my mother has done. I mean, this isn't everything. This is just a piece of how I found out she was sexually abusing me. There's more to my story. There's more. There's so much that I could never tell you all within 10 minutes, all that I've gone through. Yeah, but she violated me. She destroyed my trust. Like, I don't trust anyone. Um, and, like, this is helping me share this with you all so I don't have any shame, that I don't hold the guilt. I've been processing this since the age of 25, since it's happened, but really 25, because my entire life I blocked it out. That was my way. That was God's way of protecting me and shielding me, is by allowing me not to remember until later. And it not in a way of not remembering, because I always had flashbacks, but I always would be like, well, she was just trying to see if I was having sex. Like, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe her excuse. But to see someone that you trust so much, like, violate you in that way in between your legs, it's just, yeah, I still can't believe that she would do that, because I would never in my life violate my kids in that kind of way, ever. If I wanted to know if my child was having sex, I would take them to the doctors. And I know that's not what it was, because she was molesting my sister. She was molesting other kids. Like, I actually know somebody who she was molesting. I still have a relationship with them, thank God. Um, but I think it's hard for me to accept that she is a child, that she was a child molester, because I lost her. That's another video for another day. But this is how my mother sexually abused me. And if you guys have any questions, please leave it below. I do have a sexual abuse support group that I'm holding April 28th. If you are interested, please, the link is inside the bio. You have to copy and paste it into your web browser. We are there to support each other. We are there to understand our trauma responses and the things that we've gone through, and how to kind of cope, and tools to use to get through our everyday life. But you all, until next time, thank you for listening.
Hey, you all, do some deadlifts with me while I share how I was sexually molested by my mother and physically abused. She had me when she was 7 months pregnant, and I was born addicted to crack cocaine. My mother was so abusive physically to me, you all. My first memory, I probably was about 4 years old. I did something, not sure, but she beat me so bad I had to go to the hospital and get stitches. She warned me before, though. She made sure to tell me, don't tell them what happened, because if you do, they will take you away. The white people will take you away. And honestly, y'all, that put fear in me from a very young age. Regardless of how bad my mother was, one thing I didn't want was to be taken away from her and my family, which was my sister at the time. My sister and my mom, that is the only family that I grew up with that is biological blood to me. And y'all know I learned how to keep secrets. That was the first memory of me learning how to keep a secret, with her telling me, don't say nothing. You all, I would sleep with my mother every night with nightgowns on. Y'all stay tuned for part 2 on how my mother and my sister sexually and physically abused me up until the age of 50. Hey, you all, come with me while I pack these orders and share with you all on part 2 of how I was sexually abused by my mother and my sister up until the age of 15. I was a heavy sleeper, you all, and if it was a fire or if someone was banging on the door, regardless of what it was, I could not hear. So from as long as I know, my sister would sexually abuse me. When I say sexual abuse, I mean I would have to lay on top of her. She would make me kiss her. She would make me do things to her private area. And, I was probably about 5 years old when all this stuff that I can remember started. She would touch me. She would wait until other people that were friends of the family would come over. She would touch their kids. I mean, she was just molesting us all. At this point, I knew that what was going on was wrong, but it was so part of my life. Like, I grew up in it. It was just so normal. She would do things like slap me in the face. She would lie on me so I would get in trouble by my mother. And like I told y'all earlier, I wasn't just beat, I was tortured by my mother. She would insert things inside of me at a very young age, you all. I was so scared to tell people because I didn't want her to get in trouble, and I didn't want to get in trouble. You all, I also remember at the age of 7 years old, my mother beating me with a heel to a shoe, like taking a shoe and beating me in my head. To this day, I still have the scar. When I say torture, my mother would do things like if I vomited or if I wasn't feeling good, if I was sick or gagging because of the food and I would throw up, she would make me eat it. I would stand in the corner for hours until I passed out. My mother would punch me in the face. Because of all of the sexual abuse that was going on, I began to light fires. So my mother began to take a fire and light my skin. If I ate something that she did not approve of, my mother literally bit me. She bit down and tore my skin because I ate something that she did not approve of. You all, the crazy thing is she would reward me and take me on trips and give me money. Stay tuned for part 3 of how my mother... So this is part 3 of how I was sexually abused by my mother and my sister. So like I said, my mother would reward me for things. Like we would go on family trips. She would give me money. We would go shopping. And I thought like I had an amazing life, you all. So this brought a lot of confusion. There were things that my mother would do. Like I told you, I always slept with my nightgown on and I would always sleep in the bed with her. But she would do things like I would wake up and, see pornography on the TV. Or one time I found like a toy and I didn't know what it was, but it was in the bed. She would bend over in front of me with no clothes on, like she would be butt naked with nothing, and she would bend over. One time my mother asked me to do the dishes. I did them, but I left one pot soaking in the sink. When she got home at 3 a.m, she grabbed me by my hair and dragged me from the second floor all the way down to the kitchen and literally was punching me, beating me, kicking me because I did not wash that pan because I was letting it soak. I couldn't. I didn't have a Brillo pad. There was times where she would torture me for an entire day, you all. But stay tuned for part 4 of how my mother and my sister sexually and physically abused me. My sister spit, but I'll let you know where. When I was 8 years old, my sister spit. You all, when I was around 8 years old, my mother asked my sister to watch me while she went to work or she went somewhere. It was either to work, school, and while we were at the house, my sister wanted to have sex with me, and I didn't want to, and I was very scared because at this time, this is something that my sister always did. Like she would force me to lay on top of her. She would touch me. She would do things to me sexually. But I didn't want to. And my sister got upset. So my sister took a shoe and she picked it up. So her specific words was to me, come here, lay down, come give me a kiss, And she wanted me to go down on her. It just disgusts me while I'm explaining this, so please bear with me. It may bring up some emotions. So because I kept telling her no, that at that time I didn't want to do that with her, she sat on my mother's bed, and the way that the apartment was set up, like it was my bedroom and then my mother's bedroom and then the hallway, and then the kitchen, and then the bathroom was off to the right. So we were sitting in my mom's room on the bed, facing my bedroom, which is in the front of the house. And she said, "Come here." She literally took that shoe and slapped me dead across my face, you all. And when I say slap me across my face, it wasn't like a little slap. I had an entire shoe print on my face for days. And of course, I was crying, like I was screaming, I was crying. And like I just was asking her to stop. She would not stop. And she kept yelling at me. She kept hitting me because she wanted me to have sex with her. And I didn't want to. And I was talking and I was crying because obviously I was in a lot of pain, you all. And sorry, you all. It's a lot. I was talking, and you know how like when you talk a little bit, you know how like when you talk sometimes the spit comes out, like a little bit of spit. So I was literally like standing over her because she was sitting. So the way that it was, yeah, I was standing kind of like over her or like right in front of her, but I was so little. To me at that time, it felt like I was taller, but I really wasn't. I was little. So when I spit a little bit, she said, "Open your mouth. Open your mouth." Just like that to me, you all. Like literally just like that. And I'm like, she's like, "Open your mouth." She literally went like hawked a Louis in my mouth. I don't even know what kind of individual would do this to a person. These are the things that I struggle with today still. You know, I am healing day by day. I am not broken. God is working on my mental health. I love my sister, and I want to let you know, if you are struggling, you are not alone. If you are dealing with physical abuse, sexual abuse by your family, you are not alone and you can make it. This is my story time on how my sister spit in my mouth. All right, you all, later. So there were a few comments of people wanting to know, where is my sister now? So the last time I see my sister was probably about 6 years ago. I am from Boston, and I seen her at Boston Medical. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that, but it is a major hospital in the city. And I went into Boston Medical because I was having severe back pain. And in that area, there is a lot of people who struggle. It's like, let me take it back. There's a lot of people who struggle with addiction. So you see a lot of people strung out on heroin, fentanyl, different kinds of drugs. There's a whole strip that we call methadone mild. So I was in the hospital and I was getting cared for, you all. Oh my God, I'm probably gonna cry. I was getting cared for, and you know, the doctor came in, doctor left. And when the doctor left, you know, he gave me my aftercare plan and, you know, sent me on my way. As I was leaving, it was probably about 12 in the morning, and my sister always sucked her thumb. My sister is chocolate, you all. When I say chocolate, just beautiful brown chocolate, dark skin. I was walking, and in the hallways there are beds. So I see her laying in the bed, laying there, you all. Like, it was like almost like I saw a ghost, but I had like excitement. There were so many emotions that came up: excitement, fear. I froze, you know. So I seen her sucking her thumb. She was laying down, eyes closed, sleeping. And I went to the nurse, and I was like, "That's my sister. That's my sister. That's my sister." Mind you, the last time I seen her, you all, I was 12 years old. I was 12, and I'll talk about that later. But I was like, "That's my sister. Like, that's my sister. I know that that's my sister." And the nurse was like, "Okay, okay." And I'm telling the nurse, I'm like, you know, shaking. I'm like, "I haven't seen her since I was 12 years old." The nurse was like, "What's her name? What's her name?" And I tell the nurse her name. And the nurse went and checked. She came back and she said to me, "That is not the name that she gave us." And of course not. Of course not. Because my sister is using. So she's not going to give you her government name to check in. She's going to use a different name because, you know, like, I don't know what her situation is, but I'm sure it is to protect herself or to receive the services that she needs. And I'll talk about that later on too, like why I'm sure she probably is using a fake name and where she learned that from. You all, so that's the last time I see my sister. She was, I mean, I was 12 years old, but, well, that's the last time I spoke to my sister at 12, but the last time I seen her physically was about 6 or 7 years ago, laid in a hospital. Yeah, it was literally, it was a lot. It really was a lot. But another question is, someone answered how was our relationship. So you all know I don't talk to her, haven't seen her recently. I have Googled her, and her number is online, and I'm tempted to call, but I'm fearful, and I'm gonna let you all know why I'm fearful, what happened the last time I seen her, and why I haven't seen her since I was 12. Outside of obviously the sexual abuse and physical abuse, I don't believe that is the reason why. I mean, I know, not I don't believe, but I know for a fact that's not the reason why we don't speak anymore, or I haven't seen her. Another question is, why did, oh, sorry, another question is, who did it to her? We'll get into that later too, because someone did do it to her, the same person who was abusing both of us, and it was my mom. And I'll share more about that. I do have a 3-part story below about how my mother sexually abused me up until the age of 15 and physically abused me. And I'm going to go more into depth about each story. I'm going to share all that I can remember. And I want you all to know that the sole purpose of me sharing this with you is because I want to use my testimony to help others. I believe that that is the ministry that God has given me. I have started my own program. It's called Newfound 21, and I help youth who've experienced familial sexual exploitation. And we know that there are a bunch of different intersectionalities with being sex trafficked, and, you know, family being a part of sexual abuse, substance use. There's so many different things that come up, domestic violence. So yeah, this is why, again, my organization is Newfound 21. You can find us at newfound21.org, and that is, when I say Newfound, it's NUFOUND. I'm going to come back for part 3 to let you guys know my mother's response to seeing my face slapped with that shoe, and then who actually told her what happened. Because at home, at that day, it was only me and my sister in the home. There was nobody else. It was just us two. But somebody did tell my mother that they heard me screaming, and I'll get into that in part 3. But please comment below. Please share my video. I know this is going to help a lot of different people. And in return, it helps me, and this is part of my healing process. All right, you all.